This crispy chicken is from a taco place.
This crispy chicken is from a taco place?
The taco place?
Taco place. It comes in a burrito, too?
From your taco place, it's also a chicken place that's also a taco place.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cars are here, and you can only get them at Jackson's.
Start collecting them today.
Jackson's, let's go!
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN Live is presented by our title sponsor, RopePaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our major sponsors, Jackson's, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, Lithia Ford of Boise, and the Blue and Orange Store. For more coverage of Boise State athletics, check out the all-new BroncoNationNews.com, now part of the 247 Sports family. Now, here's five-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, what's going on, Bronco Nation? Happy Wednesday to you here at BroncoNationNews.com. My name is BJ Rains. We got Winston Venable here. It's Wednesdays with Winston, and I woke up, guys, with a little bit of a cold today, so I went to the bench. Nathan Carroll is here as well. Nathan's going to help do a little bit of the talking than I would normally do. Folks, you finally get what you want. Less of me talking on BNN. You finally get it. But Winston, Nathan, how we doing, guys?
Doing great. You know, a little Wednesday morning action after a little win out there. Bronco Nation probably feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Maybe a little bit better than you, but doing well this Wednesday morning.
Yeah, we got a thunderstorm on a Wednesday morning, which is I can't remember ever seeing that one of those in my life. I think this is like the third time this year we've had one.
I heard thunder, and then I walked outside and I see blue sky, so I have no idea what's going on.
We're a little dark out here in Eagle at the office, but Nathan, it's just a sign of fall, man. Fall is here. We got football season well underway, and I've been saying it, BJ, last couple of weeks, man. Just looking forward to the fall. So we're well into it now with the football season, going into a little bye week, but it's well underway.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nathan.
I was going to say, how you really know we're in fall is my wife started her annual Gilmore Girls rewatch last week. She got a pumpkin spice latte last week. We're here. It's fall officially.
Yeah, we got some house rearranging going on as well with my wife. It's like time to get cozy, those type of things, spend some money. It's like, oh, man, got all sorts of new stuff popping up at the house.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but the West Ada School District, I mean, they've been going to school for like 2 weeks, and somehow they've already got today off. I don't know what. The teachers are working to need another teacher day or something today. So we've got and Wednesdays my wife's off too, so we've got a full house today in the background. So I apologize if you any yelling going on, but I have no idea. You go to school for 2 weeks, and then they need a day off today. So let's have the kids home from school today. I have no idea what that's about.
Well, it's kind of what Boise State football's doing, right? Play 2 games and then get your bye week, take a weekend off 2 weeks into the season. So maybe they're just following suit with what we got with Boise State football.
I guess so. David says, love that Winston is part of the show. One of my favorite players when I was a kid. Also very insightful. BNN killing it with the guests. Winston,
David,
we are happy to have you back,
man.
And we're happy to have you back. And I know there's a lot going on. I know Nathan has some questions and topics as well, but I'll just start it off and then – like I said, tune out for a little bit. If you just join us, I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold, so I'll come back in when it's time to pay the bills and take care of some of the sponsor reads and stuff. And we do want to play a clip from Riley and Rid last night. A great show if you missed it. Marco Notriani, current linebacker, DJ Schramm, former linebacker, both were guests live at the James Kitchen and Bar, and we had a great show with them. We have a clip from that I want to play a little later in the show, but I will take, like I said, I'm sure plenty of the fans are happy, but I'll take a step back for a little bit and let you guys chat. But I know Winston coming off a big win, man. I know it's Eastern Washington. I know it's FCS, but it's always nice going into a bye week with a big win.
Yeah, I think those guys they were probably super excited to get back out on the field. Probably nowadays where players are, probably somewhat paying attention to the media and things like that, but that doesn't even matter. They didn't play to the standard they wanted week 1. I think everybody in that building knew it. So I'm sure those guys were chomping at the bit to have a productive week of practice and then go let it loose in the game. And what a confidence builder to go out there and start the way they started that game off, just to continue the momentum that they built early and carry off a big win on the Blue. And always important to protect the Blue at home. So I'm probably those guys are wanting to play another game right away, but they get to focus in on some practice and feel good about, being 1-1 right now and get a little rest and ready to go dominate the next week.
Yeah. And I think, Winston, we can kind of start with the Eastern game here before we look too much forward. But, when you grab a big win like that, obviously offense plays well, defense plays well. I mean, what's sort of the, typically after a loss like USF, there's a lot of teaching coaching points, right? There's a lot of things that coaches say, hey, we need to be better here, here, here. When you have a big win like that, as a former coach, how do you keep the guys engaged, keep them wanting to grow and get better after a big win like that?
Yeah, I think they understand, and not to downplay and talk about that opponent, but I think they did what they were supposed to do, right? And I don't think anybody in that building, I think they accomplished their mission, and they know that they have a lot of stuff to continue to work on moving forward. So I'm sure that they were excited, but it was more or less like, it would have been a big deal if the score wasn't the way it was. So, it's not like you don't tap yourself on the back and celebrate and all those things, but I don't think it was something that they're going to get caught up into. Hey, that was a big win. That's like, hey, we lived up to the standard. We got the job done. We protected the Blue. Let's continue this momentum and this confidence moving forward. So don't think it's something that they're going to get too carried away with, and where coaches have to try to bring them back down. I mean, it's time to start to run with it.
Yeah, and obviously you got the bye week right after. I mean, what does that look like from a player side and then a coach's side going into the bye week? Is this week going to be about doing some more best on best? Is it going to be essentially an extra week of prep for the triple option in Air Force? From the player side and then from the coach's side, what does a bye week look like?
Yeah, I mean, these guys will get it's early in the season, right? So bodies should be feeling a little bit fresh. Not 100% what they're doing schedule-wise, but those guys will get some time off. They'll get a couple days to just relax the mind and the body, give a little refresh. But then, like you said, I mean, it's an interesting opponent that they have. And anytime you can, even in the summer, start to work on that triple option, because it just takes that next level of detail and doing your job and making sure you understand your assignment. So anytime you're playing a triple option team, the preparation is even more. So I'm sure those guys are going to want to get back in the building a little bit earlier, because bodies are fresh. They might not need as much time off. So it's going to be just another type of bonus week, maybe just a little abbreviated, but those guys are going to be working hard this week, after a few days off, and right back to it.
Well, and one thing I really wanted to ask you about, on the post-game show, Kent Riddle was talking about how everyone talks about the triple option, how you prep for the triple option, but even defensively, these service academies scheme up things pretty differently than a lot of other teams, in part because of some of the, height or weight restrictions that they may have to deal with along the trenches. So from an offensive standpoint, where you kind of lived when you hear of Boise State, how different does your game plan look for an Air Force or any other service academy as opposed to maybe a typical Mountain West opponent?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not I got involved in the game planning, but more or less it was just a focused group, getting those RBs ready. So, I mean, that's better for Rid to elaborate on, to be honest with you. I mean, I think, when it comes down to it, it's what kind of style of defense are they running? How aggressive are they? Just all the typical stuff. But, Rid brings up a great point. And, I actually don't have much knowledge to speak on that.
Hey, fair enough. I, figured I'd ask about it. Now,
yeah.
I did want to talk about the running backs. Obviously, that's where you lived here when you were at Boise State for the most part. In week one, Malik Sherrod gets the majority of the carries, and Sire Gaines sort of, it was fairly 50-50. I believe Sherrod had 11 and Sire Gaines had 9. And then coming out against Eastern Washington, a little bit of a flip there. Sire Gaines finishes the game with 14 carries, 98 yards. Malik Sherrod, 7 carries for 42 yards. And then towards the end of the game, they're able to get Dylan Riley in there, who finishes actually as the leading rusher with 123 yards on just 6 carries. Watching that game, what did you see out of those running backs? Was there anything or any individual that sort of stood out to you? And going forward, how do you want some of those rep shares to look like?
Yeah, well, I think, looking back on game one, I think one thing that maybe got missed, post game or during the game is, Gaines was out a little bit during the summer, right? Fall camp, body conditioning. I think maybe Nate Potter spoke on that, but those guys were trying to figure it out. I think they were very open. Coach Danielson was open about not actually knowing who was going to take, the first series and things like that. But I think they had to share some reps. They didn't 100% know what they were doing as far as who was going to be that hot hand or who was going to get a majority of the reps. And I think a little bit of that had to do with Gaines not having a full training camp and, just health and conditioning. So, going into another week, maybe he's just that much more prepared. And I will say, man, he's a strong runner, right? I mean, you could see that display. And really, those guys kind of were able to show, some of their talent, some of their skill sets. And I love it. I think, Gaines is the type of guy. Can he make you miss? Absolutely. But he can also carry about 4 or 5 guys on his back, run you over, and keep those legs driving and get some really, really tough yards. So I really like Gaines, RB1 type of guy, get a majority of the carries. I think that fits. And then Malik Sherrod, I mean, we saw it early. He's a 1-cut, 2-cut. I mean, he can make you miss. And I really like those guys complementing each other. I don't think that you're going to see a, Ashton Genty type with Gaines getting 30-something carries. I don't think that would be, the best interest for the boys, because you got a great talent in Malik out there, and he's different, right? So you can really ground and pound with Gaines, and then a nice switch up with Malik. I think they were able to display that against Eastern Washington. Like you said, with Riley coming in and a lot of those young guys coming in, I always find it, super important to get those young guys reps. And whether it's the running back position or quarterback, when you're doing it, when there's a big win, then, those guys can get some quality reps, and it's not, a blowout on the other side where, these guys need those reps. And Riley was able to break a long one, which was super cool to see. Very, very talented young kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously if you guys have a question here for Winston, drop it in the chat. We'll get your questions in and be talking about those. But yeah, I think the rep share looked a little bit more coming out of game one, what I was hoping it'd look like. I think I said 70-30 was about the split that I'd like, because Malik Sherrod's too good of a player to just not get any carries. But at the same time, Sire Gaines at times looks like an NFL guy. He's a pretty special player. And I think that you saw that on that first drive, right? 45-yard run to open the game. And then Malik Sherrod makes a man miss in a phone booth pretty much to get into the end zone. I mean, that's a lot of fans said, hey, you guys hyped up Malik Sherrod. And after that game one, where was he? Didn't look so good. That was what we saw in spring and in fall camp, that, Malik Sherrod could be a pretty talented player. And I think it's pretty unique that they both have pretty fantastic skill sets in the passing game too. I mean, Malik Sherrod's a special receiver. I mean, we even saw in the USF game, he's lining up out wide and running slant patterns. There's not a lot of running backs who can do that. And then on the flip side, Sire Gaines, one of the better pass blocking backs that I can remember in Boise State history. I mean, there was one play against USF that I remember in particular where he's in pass pro and chips on the D end and chips him so hard the D end gets injured. He's out, right? They had to pull someone else in for him. Yeah. And I remember talking to Mike Callahan about it. He was like, yeah, there was one time in practice where Sire Gaines had a chip on me, and he was like, I thought it was Ashton because he hit.
Oh yeah, I remember watching that. Yeah,
wasn't expecting that. So I mean, talk a little bit about in the passing game. Obviously, Sherrod excellent as a receiver, but how important is it for a back to be excellent in pass pro, and what goes into making the decision on who's there on third downs between sort of the more of the receiving back versus more of the pass pro back?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're hitting it, right? And those third downs, there's a high pressure downs and guys are coming off the edge or coming up the middle. And, the main job, protect the quarterback. So, I mean, it's like if you don't have to sub a guy out and you can keep a guy in there, you're also posing a threat to leak him out of that backfield and use him on some swing routes and things like that if he has the ability to catch. And that's one way to handle some pressure. Get the ball out of your hands early and get it into your back's hands. So super important. It's just about being a well-versed player, right? And just be well-rounded and have all those skill sets to stay on the field and protect the QB and add another body into the pass pro game. So, and it's not always just about technique too. I mean, just being able to identify where a blitz is coming from, being on the same page as the O lineman and the quarterback. It's not something, like Gaines has an edge up, not just from a physical standpoint, but from being in the system a little bit. And although, Nate Potter's running his own offense now, that stuff takes reps. I mean, it's one of the first things as a young freshman coming in. And although Malik is not a freshman, he's new. But a guy like Riley, a guy like Ashton, when he first came in, it's always, hey, these guys have the ability to run the ball. Absolutely. How are they going to be in pass protection? And that's why a Tyler Crow was such an elite guy and a special player for Boise, is because you could really depend on him in the pass game, right? And you can't have a guy coming hot off the edge and not be on the same page mentally as your quarterback and O-line, but then you also got to be able to get the job done physically. So it's a really, really important job. And like I said, I think you're going to end up seeing, I bet you they got a little two-back set back there to maximize these guys' skill set. And so important to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield or line up.
What about Dylan Riley, Winston? I mean, third string, fourth string back, whatever, I know Breezy's out, but I mean, Dylan Riley's a young guy who's come in and had that 77-yard touchdown run late in the game, actually led the Broncos in rushing last week with 123 yards. But how do you as a coach kind of evaluate his carries or a third or fourth string back's carries when they're coming in quote unquote garbage time for the most part? And a lot of fans are saying, hey, Dylan Riley should get more carries. Let's get him more action. But he's doing that a lot of times in these first two games when the score has kind of been out of hand, both directions. So how do you as a coach evaluate reps again, in a garbage time situation, and whether or not a player like that's worthy of more time? And you have, I hate to say it in this era, you got Sherrod for 1 year. You could have Dylan Riley for three more years or whatever. I mean, how do you weigh transfer portal, all that too, wanting to keep Dylan Riley happy here. And there's a lot of aspects to this. But, I mean, obviously, as you said, Sherrod and Gaines are both worthy, but a lot of fans feel like Dylan Riley's taking advantage of his opportunities and deserves some more time as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, BJ. It's tough, man. I mean, this is a new era. I think what you said, managing the roster just from a potential transfer portal and all those type of things. And, that doesn't mean that a guy, obviously these guys want to play. And if they feel they're talented enough, maybe that makes them think about other options. I'm sure some guys absolutely love it here and they have the time to develop. And I think that those are probably those conversations that the coaches are having where, your time will come. It doesn't always happen right away. But then, to your point, it's like those guys are chomping at the bit trying to get out there and they feel like they can. So I would just say this. I think you go back, it's such an early part of the year, not to downplay the garbage time and whatnot, but it is what it is, right? There's a reason why Syer Gaines, Malik Sherrod are 1-2 on the depth chart. And that's not just off of game one. That's from a whole fall camp, right? So I still think you evaluate this early in the season every day during practice. And I'm not out there. I know you guys are out there sometimes watching practice, but there may be some things that the coaches see during practice and during fall camp that just haven't quite moved him to that level yet. And maybe that changes throughout the year. And maybe the evaluation doesn't solely come from late in the game against Eastern Washington, but it comes from, hey, how is this bonus week of practice? How is next week going into game week? And if there's any change in competition or if anybody, outplays somebody, then maybe they make that jump. Also, I think that they're probably going to try to do the best they can to sprinkle those guys in, keep them happy in this new era, and utilize those skill sets. As Nathan said, it's really tough to have guys sitting on the bench that have such good talent. And it's the coach's job to figure out ways to put those guys in. Maybe Malik lines up a little bit more as a slot. Maybe his reps are a little limited just so they can get Riley a couple carries. We'll have to see how that plays out. And those guys are continuing to progress. So it's a long season. We'll see.
I want to play a clip here in a second from the Riley and Ridge show last night, Winston, and get your take on this. But first, do want to thank a couple sponsors. RowPaint.com, our title sponsor. There would be no Bronco Nation news without Andy Rowe and RowPaint.com. ROEPaint.com, whether it's those concrete coatings, interior, exterior paintings. Perfect time in the fall here. They got some great specials going on. Hit them up, RowPaint.com. Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, pumped to have them back on board with Boise State as an official sponsor. You saw their little game they did during one of the timeouts. ICCU's logo inside the stadium, outside the stadium. We appreciate Idaho Central Credit Union for their support of Bronco Nation News, and great to see they're back. And speaking of Idaho Central Credit Union, Idaho Central Arena, the tickets are on sale now for that Boise State versus Idaho exhibition game, so make sure you get those for the downtown arena. Hey, Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com is the website for the Nicolason family, the SON Management Group. Check them out as well. All the Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations, we appreciate their support. You can try the all-new Chicken and Steak Street Chalupas, the $3 Chipotle Ranch Grilled Steak Burrito, the new Crispy Chicken Strips, or the Mountain Dew Baja Midnight Freeze. We got flag football practice, baseball practice. We'll be probably hitting up Taco Bell about 3 times this week. Taco Bell, the future of fast food. Hey, Jacksons, hope you're getting those trading cards and take advantage of that. I know some fans have been tweeting and stuff, pulling out some of the cool cards, but $12.99 a pack, and you get 14 cards. You got a 1 in 10 chance at an autographed card, so make sure you take advantage of the signature trading cards. 2025 version, Jackson's an extra mile, and hopefully this will be the week next week, guys, against Air Force, so we can finally give away the Jackson's deal for Latrell Capel scoring a touchdown. When he scores, then Jackson's will pour a 49-cent fountain drink coming up at Jackson's on the Monday following a game when Latrell Capel scores a touchdown. So hopefully that is coming here in the near future. Hey, the new helmets, guys, they announced yesterday with the new 208 logo. We talked, or I guess they announced them a couple days ago. We talked about that on yesterday's show, but they are selling shirts now at the Blue and Orange store with that logo on them. So if you like the logo and want to have one of the shirts for the front porch of Idaho, you can get those at the Blue and Orange store. They've got all your Boise State gear for the upcoming games, the color schemes and things. So the Blue and Orange store, that location there at the Boise State Hall of Fame down there at Albertson Stadium. They have the Boise Town Square Mall location as well, or you can order anywhere in the world online at theblueandorange.com. Hey, Lithia Ford of Boise, their fall kickoff sales underway. Jay Tuss and I had fun broadcasting a show live from their 2025 Expedition Max last week. That was a lot of fun. We're going to do that again here in the near future, but never a better time to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle from Lithia Ford of Boise. Rain's family, we're loving our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Bought it used, and we're loving it. So head on out to Lithia Ford of Boise, and they're doing some great things in the community as well with matching some charitable donations for pancake blocks for Cage Casey, as well as goals and assists for Kenzie McMillan on the soccer team. So LithiaFordBoise.com. Check them out, or just go there on their on Fairview Avenue to their location in Boise. All right, we had Marco Notriani, DJ Schramm, guys, last night on the Riley and Ridge show, and they were talking about COVID and just how crazy things were last several years ago, whatever it was, 5-6 years ago. And that was Marco Notriani's first fall camp, I believe, was dealing with that season or right after that season. And they're still dealing with some effects of that. And here's the clip. And then I wanted to get Winston, just your thoughts, and I'll turn it back over to you, Nathan, after the clip as well here, just on kind of going down memory lane with COVID and how crazy that was here.
It's your welcome to college football moment.
Without a doubt, was the first fall camp. Didn't have enough bodies on the good old scout D line.
Oh,
so they threw me and Lauder at 3 tech.
I do remember that.
That was an impressive scout D line.
I
Have
do
a linebacker and a tight end.
Man, those were some tough
thank
days.
You, COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know me and Lauder would go back to our dorm, stare at our ceiling, talk to each other like we made a mistake, man. We picked the wrong sport. Oh man, yeah. Oh, a lot of I probably ate the dirt more in that practice than I've ever had in my entire career leading up to that. So I would say 100% that was my welcome to college football.
Those COVID days were different. What about, did you have any moments where you gave someone else their welcome to college football?
Winston, I know there's a ton of stories going back to the COVID days, but you were just trying to find enough bodies to have a practice and play in a game some of those days.
That was it, man. I thought it was crazy even when, they announced that we were going to actually play. It was, not going to have a season, or everybody was on edge trying to figure out if we were. And then, fast forward to actually trying to fill the roster. I remember, staff meetings on a Wednesday or Thursday where the travel roster would come out and they're figuring out, my guy Joel Schneider is trying to figure out who can room with who. This guy's had COVID before this guy has, so they can match up, or we got to keep these guys separated. But I remember, looking at this sheet where it was like yellow highlights are all the guys that have had COVID, and it's, 50 something guys on the team. And it was just wild. So interesting time of life for everybody. I remember playing on the blue with absolutely zero fans out there, which was just a weird, eerie feeling. So talk about trying to fill a roster and go play. It was definitely an interesting time of life, testing every day and things like that, just waiting to see who's available.
Yeah. How, and I knew quite a few of the guys who played on that team and kind of have some of their perspective, but, being on the coaching staff at that time, how hard was it to stay engaged, stay motivated, get up for some of these games because you don't have a crowd, you're not going to your classes, right? Nothing about it felt normal in your day-to-day life, and all of a sudden you're supposed to make football feel normal. How tough was it for you guys? I mean, I guess to get the players motivated and get them engaged, or even as coaches to stay engaged and stay motivated knowing how different it was?
Yeah, I mean, everything changed. I remember, working from home, and that was my first year coaching running backs. And, you would have liked to have, a little bit more of a routine at the office, be able to engage with the coaches, learn a little bit of ball. And we were doing it all from the computer. And, Coach Harsin didn't let off the gas, though. I can tell you that. We had several hours of meetings and just, the computer was up and it was live, right? And we had all sorts of staff meetings, and we were able to present to the players. We had meetings in the morning. So that part, credit to Coach Harsin. Like I said, he never let off the gas. It was difficult because, that Zoom burnout is, actually a real thing, and just, not being able to have that personal engagement and body language and all those type of things, it really matters. And now you're dealing with players, how are they laying in bed taking this call? Is their screen on? All those type of things. But standards were always high. Cameras were always on. Guys were engaged. But, it was different. You're not sitting in the classroom teaching, and you don't have your clicker and all those type of things. So there was a lot of adjustments. And I would say that, we did a great job adjusting. Really difficult, though. I mean, you're talking about from a player's perspective and trying to get them motivated. I think the motivation really was simple in the fact that we're going to play this game. It's going to play, and you still got to show up, because no one wants to get embarrassed out on the football field. If you're going to actually put the pads on and go play, you better be prepared, or you're going to get your teeth knocked in, right? But from the player's side, other than that, I mean, I played this game. One of the things I was most passionate about was making plays in front of thousands of fans. So I didn't have to be challenged to go out there and play. It was probably easier on the coaching side. Make sure these guys are prepared. Make sure you're prepared as a coach. But, man, what a wild experience that these players had to go through to actually try to get that spark themselves. Maybe I brought a little bit extra juice. Maybe Coach Miller brought a little extra juice just to try to motivate these guys. But, yeah, you're talking about running down on kickoff without 37,000 fans going crazy. That's a whole nother monster.
Yeah, I remember talking to some of the guys on that team, and they just saying like it almost felt like a scrimmage, or it was like getting brought back to high school ball in some ways, where it's like all of a sudden you're back and playing in front of. And I think at some point in the year they started to do limited ticket sales, so it was like you've got 3,000 fans in Bronco Stadium, and it was almost like a spring game where it's like, okay, this isn't just a practice, but it's not what we've played in the last 3 years. And I know that, I mean, certainly on our side in the department, the drain of COVID and the wear and tear of it, ultimately, I know that team ended up deciding to opt out of a bowl game, because I think for a lot of the guys, they just, the grind of not even the football season, but just everything else that went into COVID that year really, really wore on them. And I mean, it sounds like on the coach's side, there was probably at least a little bit of that too by the end of the year. I mean, was there a part of you that obviously you want to compete, but at the end of the year when the player said, hey, we want to opt out, we don't want to do the bowl game, was there a part of you that was like, thank God, man, I'm ready to get into the next season?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always down to compete, but that year was so unique. And like you said, I think you used the word draining. It was absolutely draining. And, like I said, man, the gas never stopped. A fun story is I remember Coach Riddle and I we both had COVID, and Coach Harsin had us on FaceTime during practice with some young graduate assistants or interns, showing us the practice the whole time while I'm laying in bed with a backache and a headache, and we never stopped, right? And all good, but you don't. This is big time football, and you got to be prepared, and you got to have your input, and you got to have eyes on your guys. And Coach Harsin made sure that didn't matter if you were at home with COVID or you were out in the practice field, you were going to be involved. So draining, absolutely. I think everybody was just ready to call it a day and move on.
Yeah. Well, one question to kind of pivot a little bit from some of the COVID stuff back to this team, to sort of go back a little bit even to the Dylan Riley conversation. You talked about you're evaluating guys in practice every day. And one of the things I wanted to ask about is, how do you balance what you see in practice versus what you see on a game day? Because I'm sure you've experienced this. Some guys are gamers, right? In practice, they're solid. They're kind of maybe even running through the motions, but they're just there. And then game day comes and they hit another level. And I think we saw a little bit of that in the Eastern Washington game with Jaden Mickey, who look, throughout fall camp, he and Devon Banks, I didn't think there was a significant difference between the two. There's a reason in our prediction article that we put an or on there. We felt they were about similar quality. And then obviously Devon Banks not had the best 2-game stretch here to start the season. And then Jaden Mickey, likewise, not that PFF is gospel, single highest graded player on the team per PFF. I mean, he comes out and has an incredible game against Eastern Washington. How do you deal with guys like that who are gamers that, when it comes, they hit another level that's in practice? And how do you, I guess, throw that into when you're making some of those roster decisions and some of those playing time decisions?
Yeah, I think you hit it. It's super challenging, right? And going back, like you said, to Riley, what do these guys do with the opportunity they get at the biggest moments, right? And sometimes those guys, it may take weeks or games to get that. I think they'd probably have a challenge on their hands looking at Riley. Yes, it was late in the game, not 1v1. So maybe they're still evaluating from some practice, but they're taking great notes on how did he perform when the lights were on. And I think you said it, right? Banks came out game one, had a performance when the lights were on, right? If all things were equal, come out of fall camp, how did he perform week one? They're going to make note on that. They're going to give Jaden an opportunity that then he excelled with. Are they going, oh, well, that was against USF and that was against Eastern Washington? I mean, there's a little bit of that, but what have you done for me lately type of deal, and how productive are you? So, I thought, just that you mentioned it, Jaden Mickey went out there and, I mean, take away just, even the turnover and those type of things. He's flying around the ball. And I was an old nickel, and I'm watching that guy play, and, high motor, really aggressive, physical, does a good job tackling. I was really impressed with him. He stood out a lot out there. And once again, it's going to be hard to put a guy like that on the sideline, knowing that he just had a productive game from start to finish. And we'll have to see. It's always great to have depth. There's always going to be injuries, so you have to get these guys rolling. And it's a good problem to have as a coaching staff when you got guys out there being productive.
Couple other questions coming in the chat. We'll get to those momentarily, but before we wrap up, I do want to thank Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game. TheSpaTeam.com is their website. You can check them out. 4 locations across the state of Idaho: Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Yampa. They've been around since 1978. And they're part of the Boise State home team. Make sure you check them out, Snake River Pool and Spa at thespateam.com. Hey, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Rains family, we bought and sold our home using Matt and his team. Tremendous customer service every step of the way. Highly recommended. I know y'all have, multiple friends, family members that are realtors, but if you want someone that's going to fight for every dollar, I highly recommend Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, online at BauscherRealEstate.com. Hey, ShopRidleys.com is the website for Ridley's Family Markets. They got 13 locations around the state of Idaho, surrounding states. Love that Cuno location, Middleton as well. ShopRidleys.com. You can download their Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. And you just get that friendly family, atmosphere when you walk into a Ridley's Family Market. So if you want to support a local grocer, been around for a long time, multiple generations in the Ridley family, that's ShopRidleys.com to find a location near you for Ridley's Family Markets. Hey, transportation compliance service, TransCompService.com. Get into the trucking industry, TransCompService.com. Every step of the way, they can help you out, whether it's DOT, overweight permits, all that good stuff. They're a local company helping out folks all over the world. So if you want to get into the trucking industry, maybe you never thought about that as a career, but it's booming right now, you can do that at TransCompService.com. Hey, we want to hear from you. Speakpipe.com/BNN. You can leave us a voicemail. It's real easy on your phone, your tablet, your computer, however you're watching this. You just go to speakpipe.com/BNN. Record your message right there, and we'll play it on an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades, whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, or an inspection. Check them out online at mysignatureroofing.com. All right, guys, I had one more clip I wanted to play, but I know we're short on time. We got a couple questions coming in here. Maybe keep these answers kind of brief, Winston, so we can get through a couple of these. Zach says, do you feel better about the loss to USF now that they beat Florida and got ranked the next week?
No, it doesn't change my evaluation on anything. It's kind of credit to USF, and Broncos didn't play Bronco football. I mean, I think they're a solid team and they're doing well, but I don't know how it really weighs too much on things.
Winston, run first team, and if we're successful in the next few games, will teams begin to stack the box like they did with Ashton, or will they not be as aggressive since there's no Heisman back there?
Oh, that's a good game to get into, right? Stacking the box. I think Mad Dog is a guy that can pick you apart, and that's just a scary deal to deal. And that's what offenses are trying to do. Run, stack the box, and hit you over the top with a little pass game. So we'll see. Probably not as big of a threat as they had with Ashton, but it'll be interesting.
Chim says, still remember when Venable smashed that Rogers kid from Oregon State. And then he couldn't remember, was it Jaquiz or James?
Unfortunately, it was James. Ended up being my teammate in Canada. I was actually telling that story not too long ago, but after practices in Canada, there's usually these tryout guys that come in. So we're done with practice, and I'm looking over at this guy that looked familiar, and I was like, man, who is that dude? Didn't know at the time, and then a couple days later in the locker room in Montreal, I see a player walking by with Rogers in the back of his nameplate, and I was like, I think that's James Rogers. So went up and had a conversation with him. That was a scary hit. Obviously, football is an aggressive sport. Got to play physical, but that one was scary.
All right, one more clip from the Riley and Ridge show. Have you ever lost a bet to a teammate, Winston? We all heard about the bet with Ashton Genty and Mason Randolph and getting the tattoo for rushing for the 2,000 yards last year. And I know his dreads were involved if he didn't get to the 2,000 yards on there. Here's a quick DJ Schramm story. And we all talk about DJ Schramm's beard, but apparently he's got a lot of hair on the body there that folks like to comment about. Here is, and give me a thumbs up when it starts playing if you guys can hear the audio here, because I'm playing it straight off YouTube. But here's a quick story. DJ Schramm, Marco Notriani last night in a bet made with Mason Randolph, actually.
Got a lot of hairy questions about DJ.
Far away.
They said DJ Harry's shoulders are legendary.
Oh, yeah, they're still there.
Oh, yeah, they definitely are.
They're not going anywhere.
He never got cold in winter games, ever.
I don't know what that is. I don't look cold.
Weren't you weren't you supposed to get a clean fresh wax?
Yeah.
That's still on the table. Or are you not a man of your word?
I am. It's
When's
on
that
Mason.
coming?
I'm waiting for Mason to hit me up. I told him once I healed from my shoulder surgery, I was ready to go.
You want to share that story, Marco?
What was the bet for that again?
Well, we learned about Mason's bet with Ashton last year, the tattoo bet. Fall camp going to my senior year, so 2023, I made a bet with Mason that if we went undefeated and won the Mountain West, he could wax my chest and stomach, which we didn't do, but we won the Mountain West, and it was so sweet. Winning that championship, I'll still wax my chest. I don't care. It'll grow back.
Yeah.
Grow back in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won't be gone long.
Yeah. Just instantly.
How's
O'Reilly and Ridge show. Never know what you're gonna get.
Now,
I don't know. Questions here.
If you got, I don't know, man, a full wax. I mean, winning the Mountain West, I guess that's worth it. But
yeah, no bets like that in my day. I did just a gentleman's bet. I don't really remember if there was anything on the line, but with Jerron Johnson, I think I was young coming in, thinking I could outbeat him in tackles for the year, and he ended up getting me. So I don't remember what the wage was, but he got me. He was a tackling machine.
Well, go ahead, Nathan.
I was just gonna say I'll say this. So I met DJ his freshman year, like his first year on campus, because I lived with a linebacker on the time, and he kind of took DJ under his wing when he came in. And the development in his facial hair from the time he was a true freshman to where he was his senior year and where he's at now. If you're watching at home, go to Bronco Nation News at 247 and go look up his incoming to Boise State picture that he has on his recruiting profile. Clean shaven. I don't know what happened. He had like brown hair, and now it looks like printer ink. I don't know if he's dyeing it or what sort of development, but he's had. But yeah, the development in the facial hair department has been impressive for DJ to say the least.
Oh yeah, that's his baby. He's treating that thing, man. He's got the oils flowing. I know he's got all sorts of product he's rolling with for sure.
Final question here from Jordan Morales. Mad Dog can run. Almost feel like we needed a few draws in the USF game. Seemed to tuck the rock more versus Eastern Washington. Good option to move the sticks going forward. What do you make of Mad Dog in the running game, Winston? And also, I mean, we've talked about this, but there's not a lot of experience waiting behind him at QB2 either. So how do you have to weigh using Mad Dog in the run game, but also knowing that you can't get him hurt?
Yeah, I even have it noted down today. I really like him out on the move, moving him outside the pocket, getting him on some rollout stuff. I think he does a really good job at being creative, on his feet. And I'm talking about just throwing on the run. I think he's, got it down as a guy that can throw out of the pocket, but, watching him get outside of that pocket and be on the move and some of these extended plays, I really like seeing that out of Mad Dog. Now, to what you're saying, there was one clip in the game where, he took off running and lowered his shoulder, right? And I think that's going to be a teaching moment. Yes, you can be physical. Yes, you got to go and get that first down in some situations, but you got to be very careful, right? I mean, and it doesn't matter if you're, Ashton Genty in the NFL, that they're getting on him about that as far as, hey, sometimes you got to make a guy miss, but especially at the quarterback level, especially where we're at with the depth behind Mad Dog this year, that was a really, good, I would hope, a good learning lesson for him to slide. Awesome to run somebody over, but unnecessary hit, right? Unnecessary shot. That can be a shoulder, a neck. It can be, whatever it is. He's going to have to avoid some of those, but love seeing him get out on the move. Definitely a strength of his.
Well, Winston, kind of an early bye week. I know you guys talked about it earlier, but I mean, I guess final thing, they're going to practice today, practice tomorrow, and then a lot of the players, Marco Notriani said he's going back to San Diego for the weekend. It's his brother's birthday and taking him to a Padres game this weekend, and the players will get a chance to kind of take a step back. I mean, you think about it, since fall camp started, they've been going 6-7 weeks in a row now. They get the weekend off, and they'll regroup, Sunday afternoon back in Boise. The coaches will all head to Texas and California and everywhere else and go watch some games. So not an off weekend for them, but nice break for everybody this weekend, or at least focus on different things like recruiting for the coaches. Players get a little bit of a break and heal the bodies this week, and then they'll get back at it for Air Force on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's a little, it's a little early. I think, I would have liked as a player or a coach to knock out a few more games and then get that bye week. It is a little early. I would say that bodies are probably as fresh as they're going to be, and you almost want that break when they're beat up a little bit more and the minds are a little bit more tired. But and obviously, coming off a big win, building some momentum and some confidence. It's like, hey, I don't want to go, hit the couch right now. I want to go play some more football. But at the same time, there's limited breaks. It's always good to refresh the mind and the body whenever the opportunity presents itself. So good for those guys. I hope they take advantage of it. Hope they clear the minds and the body and get ready to roll for a nice little long haul here. And they got a good couple weeks coming up, man. I mean, there's going to be some challenging games. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys come out of this bye week and go attack it.
Yeah, at Air Force, App State at home, at Notre Dame the next 3 weeks when they come back from this bye. They do get another bye later in the year, Winston.
Yeah.
There's a second bye this year, so they get, I think, 5 or 6 games. They'll have the second bye in early November and then kind of finish with 3 or 4 games. So that'll be a good time one, I think, to kind of gear up for the stretch run as well. So, Nathan, appreciate you for jumping on short notice, man. I think you're going to pop on with Chris V on Friday as well, but appreciate you and for helping out today, man.
Yeah, definitely happy to be here, and thanks for giving me the chance to pop in.
Any quick thought on the gambling column? It's going to get posted later today. Is there a quick thought to make some folks some money here, what they need to check out?
Yeah, got a little unlucky last week. We were 5-5, but 2 of our totals landed within a point. We had over 53.5, I think, on the UCLA game. They finished at 53. Really needed Nico to step up and throw a touchdown. He throws a pick. Had the under on the Ole Miss Kentucky game. Ole Miss couldn't stop turning the ball over, and that went over by, I believe, 1 point. So
that was the wasn't that the Lane Kiffin apologizing in the post-game interview to all the gamblers out there when they gave up the field goal, at the buzzer?
Yep. Yeah. They gave up a field goal at the buzzer, which pushed the game over and meant that Kentucky covered. So Lane Kiffin's looking out for us. But hey, it's how it goes. It tells me that the process is good. Except for the Oklahoma State pick against Oregon. That was not good process. Oklahoma State lost 69-3. Will not be on Oklahoma State again this year. That team is not good. But yeah, no Boise State pick this week, but we've got all the usual stuff, and we'll be heading down to the Don Shula Bowl for one of the picks this week. I guess I'll tease that.
All right. Well, the gambling column, Nathan makes picks, you make money. It's pretty simple. So we'll have that posted this afternoon, and get your gambling info if you so choose with his power models and rankings there at BroncoNationNews.com. Jordan says, by the way, the sports books did make $13.7 billion last year for a reason. So
watch out for old Vegas. They got some things figured out, boys.
Tyler's asking about Boise State hoops talk. We did that yesterday. We spent a lot of time on yesterday's show talking about that. So if you go back and listen to that if you'd like. But when Winston's on, we're going to focus obviously on football today. But guys, appreciate you both. Winston, thanks, man. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. We'll really want to dive into the triple option and as a linebacker, your responsibilities and defense and going to the academy for what may be the last time ever, maybe, or at least for a long time for Boise State, their final scheduled road game at the Air Force Academy. So we'll dive into all that next week, Winston.
Sounds great, BJ. All right, Nathan, we'll see you guys later.
Appreciate it. There he is, Winston Venable, Nathan Carroll. My name is BJ Rains. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you with John Mallory tomorrow at 9 a.m. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Read Nathan's work, Chris, myself, Mike Prater. We got you covered. BroncoNationNews.com. That 60% off deal is still going on. Check it out, BroncoNationNews.com. We'll talk to you later, everybody.
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.